What's up, everybody? Hop fam, PGT Nation, everybody out there in the internet land. It's your boy Jack. I'm joined here with
Michael. I'm Michael.
Michael Campbell, and we got
Deacon
Kenneth Martin, and we got the lovely
Christine.
and we got Lauren in the back on the tables.
Yes.
Lauren Willis. Thank you, Lauren Willis, for helping us out today. And we got a studio audience, Miss Lynette with us, and Parita Porter, and Melody Petway. That's not Melody.
That's Malia.
That's Malia Petway.
Yeah,
It's
you
the
were
M
close.
that got me messed
You were
up.
close.
And then Mama Kenny. There we go.
Kenny Mama.
Kenny Mama. On the topic of today, we're talking about service in ministry. I thought this topic was exactly what we need to talk about with this audience, because we got deacons here, and you know the role of a deacon is to serve. So
Definitely.
I'm gonna have Kenny open this up with his definition of what it is to serve and what it means to serve.
Yeah, it's interesting that this was the topic because I spoke on this. I did a presentation at our convocation this year, and it was on this same exact subject.
Mhm.
Service that we provide as deacons, and also how to provide that service,
Mhm.
what the things are that we should be doing, the things that we possibly are already doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it went through a myriad of different levels, but basically it's serving with love, and following the guidelines that God has set forth for us
Mhm.
to serve each other, but we're serving each other not for the purpose of receiving anything or getting in gratitude or even to serve the people for your own self. We're serving for God. And when we realize that our service is for God and he gets the praise for what we've done, then we turn around and we serve with joy and with love, and then that inherently spreads throughout the people that are receiving that service, as well as the fact that God receives the credit for that service.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Michael, what do you think it means to serve?
Well, my definition is not quite as in depth as Kenny's. Now, when I think of service, I'm usually thinking about like community service, helping people around you, going down to
Right.
downtown area where it's very terrible down there, but sometimes you just gotta go down there and get people food. Like, just like today, Elder Charles was talking about how just like his mom or his grandma that gave him like the jacket like to try it on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like just being thoughtful in general is kind of like being a service to others and to people around you. And also, like, when people have like their personal problems and everything, being that friend, that therapist friend is always kind of like a good service. It's a very good service to have.
Right.
It comes in handy many times.
Yeah.
'Cause like service is all around just what you see as like a good deed to other people in general. Things like that. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I like how you said community service as well, because I always thought of the church as being serving inside of the church and then serving outside, you know, back in the day. And even now, a lot of people come to the church for help. You know, I see people around this community come in. We had like food pantry, people get some clothes and things like that, some necessary items, and that's part of community service, you know.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure at one point during quarantine, we were giving out like food at lunch and everything. People would come out and get the food. We would send it out, and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, especially as a deacon, for our church to do is to serve the community. We don't always serve or we're not always thinking of serving the community in that capacity because we do so much service inside the church. But we do need to reach out and outreach and serve the community as well. So that's a good point.
Yeah. Also with service, I know it can take a toll on everyone, especially you got your life, you
Right,
know,
right.
you doing everything at work with your family, and then you come into the church and you do more work. So how do you recharge your batteries after serving?
Right. So it all goes back to the fact that I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for God.
Mhm.
So I let Him recharge my battery. Before I go to sleep, I pray for my sleep to be restful, peaceful, and that I'm re-energized.
I'm gonna add that to my prayer.
And when you do that, that's God supplies that.
Yeah.
So, and when I lay down, I go off to sleep, directly to sleep. When I wake up, most times I'm refreshed. There are some times where, no matter, however treacherous your week has been, it takes a toll on you, even with requesting that peaceful rest. So, you just got to slow down a little bit. But as far as recharging, I let God do the recharging. I just keep pushing.
Well, when I think about services, I think about the model that we're all supposed to model our lives after, right?
Yeah.
Which would be Jesus, right?
Right.
And given the fact that he was high priest of this order that we're in, this new covenant, right? I look at that he was also a king, right?
Right.
But then I look at the aspect of who he was as a king and what he did as king, and as a king he served.
Right.
And so from the outward men, right, looking at things carnally, right, you look at a king and then you look at a king and you'll say, oh, we're supposed to serve him,
Right.
right? But
Right.
Jesus came and flipped it. He said, no, kings serve the people,
The people.
right?
Right.
And that's supposed to be reciprocated, of course, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're just serving yourself or serving that one person, that's the only person getting fed,
Right.
and then you're supposed to reciprocate, so it's a mutual thing, right? So is there ever a time, wrapping that back around, so is there ever a time, because a lot of times in Jesus' ministry, he did have to recharge his batteries. That's why
Yeah.
he spent like a lot of time, he would go and just go and fast and pray, just isolate himself, like just meet me over here at this mountain.
Right,
So when they
right.
got caught in that storm, I'm gonna just go
Yeah.
walk on the water and get over there. Y'all go on a boat.
Right.
But he'll be over there just isolated. You know what I mean?
And I'll walk over and see you later.
Exactly. I'll come save y'all if y'all need a hand.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of times he was in isolation. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when do you find the appropriate time to say no, and then like how do you say no when you like don't just feel it? You know what I mean? Like, or you don't feel like rejuvenated.
So I haven't found an occasion to say no.
Mm-hmm.
I've said not right now,
Okay.
but not no.
Mm-hmm.
Because no is definite.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
we're stopping right here.
Yeah.
There's always a time to take care of something.
Mm-hmm.
My time may not be your time,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. So you just try to find somewhere, some common ground.
Mhm.
Maybe I can't do it today, but in a couple of days I have
Mhm.
some free time
Okay.
because I have to take care of these other things,
Right.
and then I can help you out.
Right.
If it's something that's immediate,
Mhm.
then I might have to direct you to someone else.
Okay.
But for the most part, if you can wait the time that I request,
Yeah.
we can roll.
I like that answer. Michael, what about you? Is there ever a time you just don't feel like doing something?
Oh.
Day.
That's a lot
Twice
of
on
times.
Sunday.
A lot of times where I don't feel like doing something, especially having to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and leave the house at 7 o'clock just to get to school 30 minutes before school starts.
Mm-hmm.
Where I could have had that time, stayed in bed, and did all these other things, but I have to be at school at 7:30.
So
Just be 30 minutes early.
Yeah.
And like, for me, saying no is not that hard. Just depends on who you are. For like example, Rachel. It's not that hard to say no to Rachel. It's really not.
I mean, that's your sister, though.
Yeah,
No.
it's not that hard. But like when it comes to like my mom, my grandma, and grandpa, it's kind of like especially when my grandparents are getting older, they need help with a lot of more things.
Right.
So it's not hard to say no. One time was not really an option to say no. So I just do and just keep pushing. When it comes to like my friends and fellow peers, it kind of really just depends on what I'm feeling that day. If I'm feeling lazy that day, I'm not gonna do anything for you. I'm sorry, you have to go somewhere else. Like if you ask me to help you with homework in class, I'm not gonna do it because I just don't want to do it. Like I'm sorry that you failed, but I can't help you. I'm
sorry that you failed.
I am sorry.
Wow.
Should have done the work earlier.
Are you really sorry?
I'm sorry that you failed.
It's so bad. I tragically am sorry, but like Kenny said, no is just like a straightforward answer. Like I'm not gonna let's end the discussion. But sometimes I will do it because I feel like it's the right thing to do sometimes overall. But no is a very common word in my vocabulary. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, it's not common in a lot of people's vocabulary, and they start to overwork themselves, you know, especially, I know a lot of people who have trust issues when it comes to getting things done. You know, they feel like they can't rely on somebody, and so they have to do it, you know. Go ahead, yeah.
No, I was agreeing to.
Oh, I was about to be like, what's up?
No, that's me. Preaching to the
But
choir.
I mean, hey, I'm one of those people, you know. I feel like I have to do things a certain way, and sometimes, especially in my professional world, I'm supposed to lean on a team, and yet I don't, you know. So is there ever a time where, especially in the church or even outside of the church, where, you know, you should be leaning on more people, but you don't see them around? You know, do you feel like you have adequate help?
For me, I feel like that question really relates to school. If you think about it, schools really don't teach you about the world like that. They don't teach you like how you're supposed to earn money. They just teach you. A lot of stuff in school you're not really gonna need.
Right.
You're really not.
I'm a testament to that.
It just depends on what you're trying to do. Like I know, like basic math, English, you're gonna need that, but you're not really gonna need like history every day. You're not like going to the National History Museum and giving a presentation like every single day. You're not. History's not really needed. And like computers, that's neat because now in our world, computers are a very useful source for internet, doing video call, Zoom, and like homework, everything. And like when it comes to school and relying on other people, for me, it's really hard because from when I was in middle school, not many people wanted to do the work. So I just did it myself.
Yeah.
And we all got the good grades. But like in reality, I was the one who actually got the good grade. So now since I'm in high school, I can see that there are people who want to do the work, and then there are people who are just there.
Gotcha.
Not like I've come to the reality where like people just sit there and don't really do anything. They just look at other people's paper, write it down, and then that's it.
They just want that A.
They just want.
You remind me of something. You remind me of Jesus. You know, the Pharisees are supposed to be doing the work, and they wasn't doing it. You know what I mean? They were saying the right stuff, but they wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
And Jesus came, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna do it." You feel me? I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you how to do this thing.
Cause like at my school, it's for math class we have to work in groups. You can't do the work by yourself, but you can't. There's times where you have to do group work. Cause like it's our school is mainly focused on group communication, so we have to figure out, cause our school is trying to build long-lasting friendships. Like it's high school, you're there for, that's like the longest duration of school besides elementary school. Like, yeah. So like that's where you actually develop your personality, your traits, your things that will stick with you for the rest of your life, including your friends. So you have to figure out a way to build relationships without also like pushing people away at the same time. Because at my school, even though you're forced to mingle with people you don't have, like, you haven't talked to at all or anything, you still end up finding some common ground or something to lean upon during your classwork and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's there.
It's interesting you would put it that way, because we have the same issue here in church. There are, Pastor used to always say 100% of the work is done by 20% of the people. And when you look around to see who's actually working, you'll see the same people doing this, all the different jobs at the same time, when the other 80% are sitting around watching that 20% work. And when you, and I was brought up playing ball on different teams, basketball, softball, football, baseball, all of that. And when you have a team environment, you learn how to follow, you learn how to lead, and you know how to be a part of a team where you just make a contribution and not necessarily lead or follow, just, doing your part. Sometimes just doing your part is enough. Sometimes you need to be the leader, and sometimes you need to lead by following. And a lot of people do not understand the construct, and they don't understand, if I'm a leader and I don't have anybody following me, then I'm leading by myself.
Right.
I'm just walking alone. If I'm following, but I'm following nothing, or something incorrectly, then I'm just walking around in a circle. So it's not, there has to be a balance. And when you're speaking about you doing all the work and then being put in a position where you have to allow other people to have credit for the work that you've done, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. It happens on people's jobs, happens in school, happens in church. It happens in all walks of life. So, all you can do is and take pride, but not pride in the sense that you're boasting about it. But you take pride in the fact that you can do the work. Two, you can do the work well, and that even though you don't get the credit for doing the work yourself, the group gets the credit that the work is done well and is done right. So you can keep pushing. I used to be a part of an organization where I used to be a part of an organization where we would do a March of Dimes walk. And every year we go out and we collect funds from different people. And my brother-in-law and I would each go and collect funds from everybody. And then we would collaborate, and he would get the majority of the funds, and then he would get the accolades, and and everybody's saying, well, Ken, you're doing all this work, and how come you're not out there? And I said, I don't need to be out in the front. He knows my worth, and he and I have an agreement, and we take care of that behind the scenes.
Right.
Everybody else, they need to see him, because he's the one that's pushing it. He's doing, the majority of the work. I'm doing some, but he's doing the majority of the work, and he should be the one that gets the credit for it. I don't need credit. I don't need credit for the work that I do, because God sees what I'm doing.
Right.
And God gives me my reward. I'm not looking for earthly rewards.
I love that.
So I got a question about that, because about following while leading. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Right. I never understood it, because like one of my favorite movies growing up was Drumline. Yeah. And he was like trying to chastise Devin Miles. Right. Like, you gotta be able to follow before you can lead. So I never understood it growing up, but I'm your child think as a child. Right. The way child seems when you become an adult, right? That sort of thing. So I'm like, okay, how do you lead? But then you could also, in the military, taught me that you could also, because it's a whole lot of horrible leadership in the military. Right. But you could also learn from horrible leadership.
Yes, sir. Learn what not to do.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that you get when you get to that. You can learn amazing things from a good leader. Right. But I feel like you'll learn you'll learn more from losing than you would from winning. Yeah. Right. Sure. So, and I know in the black community, right, servitude is often They often equate servitude, and it'd be synonymous with slavery, right? In your definition of how you concoct the word of servitude, or the service of servitude, is that how you view it, or sometimes does it feel like slavery?
No, it doesn't, because I choose to serve. So, and I can choose not to serve. It's completely up to me. So it doesn't equate to slavery to me at all.
Right.
In my service, there are, or in anyone's service, there are components to where it may seem like it's slavery, because you're continually laboring over and over and over the same things, and it looks like you may not be getting anywhere. But the reality is, it's not the same. You know, every day is different. Every situation is different.
Right.
We ran into, I think, like 4 different issues this morning while we were streaming. And, you know, I was running back and forth, choir stand, back to the back. And, you know, we're trying to work it out because I'm, quote unquote, the expert. But, you know,
You are the expert.
I just have worked with it through the problems more times than anybody else. I mean, that's the reality. And even I don't get everything right. And in that, we weren't able to fix one of the problems, and we just had to go with what it was. But at the end of the day, the service is going to be what you give it. If you don't give it your all, then you're not going to get what should be gotten out of it.
Right.
And the people that are receiving that service aren't going to receive your best, and which is what they should be receiving. If you're giving something, it should be the best. If it's not the best, then there's no reason to give it.
Right. And I know from a biblical perspective, right, servitude is often synonymous with slavery, because the Bible was used as a weapon to perpetuate the narrative of slavery, like servants obey your masters, right? But from how you define slavery, it's pretty much the same way that biblical narrative defines slavery, and oftentimes servants chose to serve. And they were paid. Handsomely.
They were paid.
They lived in their master's house.
Exactly.
All that stuff. They ate off the food that they, you know what I mean, everything.
The problem was when it became slavery from those that came from Europe, and grabbed those. That slavery is totally different.
Yeah, it's a different type. Michael, what about, do you learn anything in school that would equate slavery to servitude, or how you wrap your mind around that?
So back in 8th grade, we were learning about the medieval times, I forgot the word for it, but it was something around 1600.
Renaissance?
No, I don't think so.
Get a little closer to the mic.
We were learning about something around the 1600 BC, around those times, where as we all know, China is very communist, and they're very like they want to stay where they are, and they what we learned is that they're very they have a lot of limits on a lot of things. There's you can't have a certain number of kids. Now you can only have 1 or 2 kids. That's it, because their population is too big. Their houses are too small. Everything in China is so cramped and just in a box, basically. So to me, that kind of sounds like slavery, because everything is controlled by the government. It's you can't do anything without China finding out in general.
Right.
Same thing with Korea. You can't vote somebody to be president or head of the country. It's their son. So if the current one dies, that's it. You can't really. They would have to worship him, because they see him in their country. They see him as God and things like that. They would have to worship him for the rest of their country's life, or whenever the country is gone.
Yeah.
So, and if you're born in Korea, you can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of that just keeps you more enclosed where you are.
Yeah.
You can't drive, you can't like do anything like that. So it's just like slavery to me, where it's so condensed, so kept in like a box and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Regimented.
So are you defining slavery as anti-democracy?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Basically.
Cool.
I know, right? I mean, I feel the same way. Like, when I think about this country, of course, we have our flaws and everything like that, but I've traveled the world, and we have some of the most freedoms
Yeah.
than any other country,
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
And I've been to China, so I know.
well, we might have set back a little bit. We might have taken away a little bit of that freedom earlier this year,
Mhm.
with the abortion thing
Mm-hmm.
passed. So that kind of like took away some freedom for women in general,
Mm-hmm.
and that increases global. Now, if you think about it, I don't think they were thinking about this at the time, but their first thing I thought about when I heard that was global warming. Now, as we all know, every year it gets hotter and hotter.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And with that comes the growing number of human bodies.
Mm.
And
Body
if,
heat.
yeah, because body heat, like, the normal human body temperature is like 92, 95, around that area.
Mm-hmm.
So if you keep going and going, or like, just us four combined would be like 400 some degrees. Enough to cook a chicken pot pie. Like, enough to cook it, like under 15 minutes. That's how
Yeah, we should
yeah.
try that.
I do want to try it out.
Put all our hands on the chicken pot pie.
See if we can.
Not actually, but like the,
Right.
yeah. So like, if you think that there's like over, just in our country alone, there's over like 100 million or something around that. Like, cause in California alone, it's like 5 million people.
Mm-hmm.
So that each country, it's more than that. So it's like Asia, Europe, there's so many people.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's so many bodies, then it's not gonna like change the fact that like you can't stop global warming. You can't really, cause like President Biden, he's trying to do all this stuff, but he hasn't done anything about the abortion. Cause you think about it, if you don't have an abortion, you can't sit, cause you can't say like global warming and things like that. Cause like multiple things counteract other multiple things. It's like it's like a chain reaction.
It's a domino effect.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's say if Wells Fargo goes into bankruptcy, the entire firm shuts down. Like
Mm-hmm.
their entire thing shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
All the stores are closed. I don't know what happens with people's money. I don't.
I hope not.
That yeah, like you don't know. We don't know.
Right.
You have Wells Fargo?
Huh?
You have Wells Fargo?
Yeah, I got Wells Fargo. That's why I was just like, I hope not. Like, you know. You just never know.
Yeah. It's like it's a domino effect because one thing affects another. Like I don't know what's good. Like they stopped putting the Ukraine thing on the news. No one knows if they stopped putting that stuff on the news.
Mm-hmm.
It's like for early 2022, it was all over the news, like all over. And at one point they just stopped.
Native.
Like it just
Sorry.
stopped.
Yeah.
I thought that was appropriate.
So like it's just a lot of things have a domino effect. Even the littlest things can impact the biggest things in the world.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like if the governor of California passes away, that affects so many things.
Mm-hmm.
That cancels like all his. If he had like a building being built, a house being built, anything that was under his name or anything like that is just cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why many people, when they pass away and do all that stuff, not many things happen in their name, or like if they were doing something, not much happens after that
Except
unless
after they
somebody
die. Yeah.
Right.
picks it up.
Right.
Like if somebody starts a family thing in like in the 1900s and then they pass away in 2020, they expect their family to come pick up after them.
Mm-hmm.
Because not not many people really do that.
Yeah.
Right.
They just sell the land and just keep it pushing.
I think that goes along with a lot with
Leading while following.
Elder Wyndham was saying
Oh,
this
yeah.
morning.
Doing
where
something.
Yeah, like people, just the reluctancy to
Right.
put, like, just move.
Yeah.
Like you said, do
Yeah.
something, put into action. And what you were talking about as well, like 20% of people do 100% of the work
Right.
in the church. I got a question for you though.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask? You want me?
Well, I just
Go
wanted
ahead.
to
Yeah.
add on that a little bit because what I kind of got from that was like the leading while following, especially with a public official or something like that. They are the leader, but then they have a whole team right behind them.
Right.
And so when I think about it, it's kind of like, a lot of people give Abraham Lincoln the token of you freed the slaves and
Right.
everything like
Yeah.
that. But when in actuality, when he died, it wasn't until his
Yeah.
vice president really
Yeah.
put it into the amendments that it actually happened.
Right.
So it was like that leading while following. If you can't lead, somebody else should be able to
And, like,
follow.
in general, followers are kind of leaders too at the same time because there's
Exactly.
also people following them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the governors, they're following the president they're trying to get where he's at the same time. Even though they don't have, they're only able to do like 5% of what the president's able to do in their state. The president controls every single thing in the country. He can literally make taxes higher if it's able to pass.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
Yes, let's not do that now. But he can do it. And he can also cancel any law. He can veto the law. He can like veto it and it's done.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends because
There's-
we are in the divided states of America. So
We are.
it's not a union no more. They're not on the same
There
page.
are caveats to
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
all that you said.
And he can't be impeached if he just start going tyrannical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So actually, Michael, I do have a question, and
question?
we kind of brought this up to Rachel during the last podcast because we know that you and her did a presentation for youth service, and so I actually have a question. Like, what prompted you to do that presentation, and then also, do you feel like the youth here are serving enough for the church?
Before I answer your question, like Kenny always says, when me and Rachel ask him a question, I have an answer for you.
Okay.
So, the reason why me and Rachel did that was because we saw when we went to the convocation, there were a lot of youth involved, people having fun. There was we got information from other churches that they were doing similar things, but not as similar. So we wanted to do that, and like we had talked to Bishop and saying he was saying every time we come back from the convention, people get energized.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just energy.
Yeah.
We got to do something with it.
it's cyclical.
So we wanted to do it because when we were before quarantine started, everybody had fun at church.
Mm-hmm.
It was like where everybody wanted to be on Sunday.
Y'all was live all the time for Youth
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Lord.
It was fun. It really was. But when COVID hit, everything got set back. It wasn't really we couldn't really do much.
Mm-hmm.
But now since we're back at church, we can do those things, but we just don't do it. And now a lot of the older kids that were here before quarantine, they're all in college and doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only about 8 or 9 of us here left that are almost, because we have Juju who's about to go off to college, a senior, and after that it will just be me, Jaden, Malia Kai, Rachel, and a few others, because it's not really a lot of us right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have 3 babies. We have
They're babies.
2
They
babies.
babies. So
2 babies and a toddler.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 babies.
Right.
No. 3. I'm counting the
You didn't catch that. Don't
That's a
worry.
reference.
3 babies and a toddler. So it's not really much that we can do, but what we can run service. We can do that. Like you guys say, we're putting together an AIM service for us to do and everything. It's overall we want to do it because we wanted something to do because we're usually just sitting in the back watching service. Not really much for us to do, but listen and learn. So we just wanted to put our own little spin and twist on things to make it fun for us, so it can be more into church instead of out to church.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. What was the other question?
I just asked if you think that the youth are serving as much as they could be.
Honestly, I don't know how to answer that question without being disrespectful to everybody else.
Yeah.
So
I feel that.
I'll put it the best way possible, but no harm intended. So,
Because I care that you feeling, but
okay. No.
Oops.
So like, I kind of do feel like me, Rachel, Kai, Malia are doing like this because we like help you out with breakfast, handle like the bag, put everything together, do the food and everything.
I appreciate y'all for that.
Y'all tear the food up. Y'all really do.
Thank you.
food up.
Keep going.
I'd be hungry.
But like the older kids and everything, I don't think it's not that they don't want to. They just don't have like the fuel to like or fuel to do anything. Because when we came back, we were told that we were gonna do. So like kind of we just did it, and it kind of it's like we after you do it for so many times, it's stuck.
It's a habit. Yeah.
We just do it. 'Cause we did it for so long. So like when we start doing like training, like putting it back together, they probably will come because it will be fun. Like it would actually be like fun, and people will start coming to church and everything. But yeah, I do feel like some of us are doing everything. Like you said, like 20% do the work, but 80% are just there. So yeah, it's like that.
Awesome. All right. I love this conversation. It was very informative. Right now, we're going to actually move on to our next part. Did you?
Segment.
Yeah, next segment.
Yes.
Questions from the collection plate.
Where basically the Hop Youth submits questions, or our guest submits questions to be asked. So Michael actually had some questions.
I have a few questions actually.
All right.
A few.
So I want to know what made the church it was today. Like what prompted everybody to be so engaging, and like what made it what it is today, like and everything.
You talking about the foundation of the church?
Yeah, like where did all this energy come from?
The energy in this
Yes,
church?
where does it come from?
Oh, okay.
So, and this is just my perspective. It comes from the top. It comes from the leadership. Bishop Porter puts in a lot of energy, but he puts in a lot of hours. He works on his craft. He is constantly praying, constantly talking to God, receiving what it is that he should be doing as by way of guidance, and then he takes that and he puts his energy into it, and he just goes. And as he goes, he brings us along, and that is another sign of a good leader, is being able to bring your followers with you. And I tell him all the time, I say, if you're going somewhere, let me know, let's roll. He doesn't have to, I don't need a whole soliloquy on what we're getting ready to do, how we're getting ready to do it. If it's concerning the work of God, and he says, I'm getting ready to go over here, and I need somebody to roll with me, I'm your man. I roll with him wherever. And we'll go and we'll take care of the business. If we can grab some other people along the way, we do. But his energy is infectious, and he brings that energy, and he's gotten it from somewhere as well. And he brings it, and it starts with the worship that we provide and that we go through. When I'm up here in this choir, man, it's nothing like it. nothing like it. It is spirit-filled worship. And I am pouring out my heart, my spirit, to God in hopes that he receives it with the heart that I'm intending to give it with. And that he takes that worship that I'm giving and he turns around and he sends it into my life and spreads it throughout my life so that I can continue to not only worship him, but get the energy to continue worshiping, because it's a whole vibe, as they say now.
Yeah.
And he brings it.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, even last Sunday when they did the video for the church anniversary,
Right.
and I saw the pictures from way back, and I was like, oh, the church was like popping,
Yeah.
choir filled, everybody was like jamming and singing. But to be honest, I got a little emotional seeing Bishop Jr. And I know that he had an energy and an infectious vibe here that was passed on to Bishop Porter.
Exactly.
And then he took that to Dallas, and I was a part of that as well. And then, I mean, even in Shreveport, like the youth, we had Youth in Christ. We had our own little ministry. We are all a family. We was all over each other's house. And I feel like that's the main thing, was knowing that this is my family and I can joke around and be however I needed to be, but also we come here for a common purpose. And that's for service, that's for worship, and that's just to, praise God and have fun.
Yeah.
It's the fun part about it.
It's the fun part.
Yeah.
I know for myself, as far as Kenny, I could back up with Kenny. Want to move? I could back up with Kenny. I could back up what Kenny said and Christine said, because I've been in this church my entire life. But not just in this church, if that makes sense. I've bounced, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can attest to the energy that my father put into this thing, right? Because I was a part of it. Like you, like I didn't really have a choice. It's like, this is what we gonna do. Like, we'll get off every Thursday, and he'd come in here and he'd be scraping gum off the bottom of the pews. And he'd be like, go get the vacuum. All right, take the trash out, pull the trash cans out. I'm like, bruh, I want to go home. Do not want to be here right now. And literally, him and Tony every Thursday, like clockwork, just be up in here, vacuuming the whole shebang. So they put the time in, and as hard as he goes as far as service, he goes just as hard, even harder in worship, right? And that's a testament of a true leader. A prophet Todd Hall said, "Is a preacher that doesn't praise is a performer." So you got to have a leader that leads by example, right? And he had to get that from someone as well. So he had like Bishop Owens, and he had Bishop Jr., and he had Bishop Dunham, right? And the one thing that all of them had in common, they had a heart for young people, for youth, right? And that's a testament of a growing church, of a living church, not really numbers, but the youth that you have in your church, right? And what their activity is in the church, right? That's that's a testament for how it's gonna live. It's like what's that scripture, Joel 2 in Acts 2. In the last days, I'll pour my spirit upon all flesh. In their children shall prophesy, their young men shall have vision, as their old men would dream dreams, right? And it goes in that succession. So that's to answer your question. The realness of it comes from God, right? His spirit, and then it trickles down through the leaders, and as Kenny said, it trickles down through the chain, and those who follow.
Right.
So the next question is,
because I care if you feel. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep it.
So the next question is for you, Kenny. Why did you want to become a deacon? And I know that you didn't start off at a church. You came from another church. So what made you come here and want to become a deacon?
I think I know the answer to that. I'm playing. Good.
All right. So, what brought me to this church? I met Bishop Porter when he was Elder Porter. He and I worked at the same law firm, Morrison and Forrester, shout out, where I still am employed. He came on, we created a bond of friendship. We had a common liking of music, or love of music, I should say. And, you know, we would talk music, we would talk, you know, all kinds of stuff. My oldest son is a couple years older than Trey, and my youngest son is a couple years younger than Jack, so we had that in common as well. But we met each other, found out that he was an elder in the church. He told me, of course, that he did Bible study on Wednesdays, and invited me out to the church more than once. During our time working together, you know, we went through it, and of course I never came. Always told him, you know, yeah, I'll come through one day. And I was previously married at that time. My wife passed in 2012. Bishop Porter was long gone from the firm, but never far from, you know, out of my reach. So had the service, and I had sent out an invitation, let him know that the service was. He knew who my wife was, he and Nicole both. We had dinners together, all kinds of, you know, we did family stuff together throughout the years. Anyway, we hadn't been in touch with each other for a while, but he came to the service. I saw him at the service, him and Nicole. Came in, he embraced me, he hugged me, he told me he loved me. After speaking to him for a little bit, I asked him if he was still doing Bible study Wednesday nights. He said, yeah. And he told me what time. He said, you know, come on through whenever, you know. And again, I'm sure I don't believe he thought I would come, because all the other times I said I would come and never came. But within a couple of weeks, I showed up out of the blue, you know, and as he likes to say, if I get you here and you get a little on you, you're going to stay, you know. So basically, that's what happened. And I started coming to the church because it is family oriented and it's tighter knit. You know, the bishop knows my name. He's given me a nickname. You know, I mean, that's how tight we are. We were brothers before he was my leader. So it's one of those things. As far as becoming a deacon, the story behind that is when I stood up here to become a member of the church, Deacon Verl Kelly, God rest his soul, stood next to me and said, so you ready to become a deacon? Look, let me get in here first, bro. I haven't even, you know.
Can I at least get a seat first?
You know, let me see what's going on.
Right.
You want me to be a deacon, you don't know anything about me. He knows about me because, you know, we hung out, but, you know, you don't know anything about me. But it was funny, but it was genuine. And you know, if you know Verl, you know how he was about things. And shortly after that, the question came to me from the pastor, and he's like, you know, do you want to become a deacon? You know, is this something that you might want to go after and be a part of? Because I see you serving, you know, because I was doing things then, you know, you see things need to be done, you go do it, and then, you know, and keep pushing. So I was doing things that were deacon-like as a member, but I wasn't a deacon. So after some contemplation, I decided to go ahead and become a deacon, and went through the training. Thank you, Deacon Russo. Finished the training, I was ordained, and then now I'm deacon chairman. So
And you
it's-
serving in a national capacity as
I
well.
serve as the VP of the
The
Deacon.
HNIC.
I'm the VP of the Deacons Institute.
Yeah.
Under Deacon Jackie Maiden. So, yeah, and that is recent as well. I just received that that accommodation. So, yeah, trying to do big things. One thing that Bishop Porter has always stressed is that you can't make changes, national changes, from the outside. You have to be on the inside. And as he has acclimated himself and climbed through the ladder, the ranks of, elder, pastor, overseer, bishop, if you're gonna go, you got to go with him in order to help him make changes, especially changes that you think should be done throughout the national. Because you can make changes in your local church, but they only affect your local church.
Right.
You can't make changes to the national where everybody is following these guidelines unless you're in a part of the national. So to affect change, you have to be up in there. And also, I believe that he needed someone that's in the national doing things along with him. I don't necessarily have to be the right hand, but I believe I'm at least a finger.
Be the left.
I can be the left hand.
Hey, Michael, I got a question. If they had like a national youth president, would you run?
That's a great question. Honestly, a great question.
Would you?
I
Give
can't
a great
answer that
answer.
right now. That's a really great answer. That's a really good question. I just
I
can't
was
answer.
just trying to go
Not
off of
that
like
I,
your carefulness, like, 'cause you care if
Um,
people fail, you know what I mean? So it's just,
For right now, since I am like still in school, so I could do it if I wanted. I could do it, but as of right now, it would be a no. I wouldn't run for right now, because I'm pretty sure there are probably people better in slot than me, but I still, if I did try, I probably would be able to do it with the help of Kenny, especially my mother, because she does things to perfection. So,
She really does.
yeah, that's a fact.
She does. Awesome. Did you have one more question? Are you good?
yeah, I'm open to any other questions. You guys can ask any questions. I don't know.
Oh, I am good. Well, I think this was a good discussion overall today. I just wanted to thank you, Michael and Kenny, for coming and being with us for the altar call.
Sure.
Did y'all have any final words or thoughts?
I got one. Because we got an audience. So I was like, one question each. Y'all got a question? You got a question? Uh-huh.
Hold on, wait. Can I grab the mic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pass the mic.
How did you all come upon the idea of doing the altar call podcast for our church organization?
Okay. So I had an idea for this back before the pandemic took off, and we were supposed to implement it. I don't know. I forgot what I was gonna call it, but then my dad came up with the name, call it the altar call. So I was like, all right, cool. And then, pandemic happened, boom, 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 boom. And then I actually started an actual podcast because I'm a podcaster. I like podcasts. I like having conversations with people about everything. But so I have a podcast that I do like on my own. So then I was like, okay, I reluctantly asked him, and he reluctantly inclined to get it started. Agreed, sorry, to get it started. And then I asked Christine if she would co-host with me, and she reluctantly said yes. It's a lot of reluctance up in here. Is it reluctant? No, it's not gonna work. Statement?
No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a great way.
Mama Kenny Mama? No? Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Her birthday's on Friday.
Hey.
Happy early birthday.
There it is.
What?
There it is.
I don't know. I just lost my train of thought.
The train is gone.
To be young and lose your train of thought.
Oh, it happens to me all the time.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank y'all for being with us and everything. Thank you for everyone that tuned in to the altar call and our
Yes.
amazing audience. I appreciate
Yes.
y'all. Love y'all so much. Be sure to tune in to our next episode on October 9th. Yeah. And if you're watching now, please like and comment. We absolutely love the interaction. And also, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, especially if you're a youth. Would love to get some amazing questions like Michael had today. And also, don't miss the AIM service that's going to be on Sunday, October 16th. Be there. Be there. Be there. Awesome. Anybody want to pray us out?
I got to add one more thing.
Go ahead.
Just because she brought it up. And I know, like, people from around the national watch the podcast or tune in. If y'all if you use from the other churches want to start a podcast, you don't need a mic, you don't need a table, all these aesthetics and the fancy camera. All you really need is a phone, and you could literally sit in a bathroom and just have a conversation with whoever, and that's literally all the podcast is. It's a fancy way of saying I'm gonna have a conversation on camera.
Yep.
And talk about anything you want. But yeah, that was that. Kenny, I'm gonna leave the prayer to you because it's your house.
All right, well, first of all, I would like to thank you guys for allowing me to be up here and share some of my thoughts and things like that,
Yes, sir.
and what's going on here. Having my son on my side, that's cool. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you. Thank you right now for allowing us this vehicle, Father, for spreading your word, for allowing us a way to share a little piece of this church, a little piece of us with those that are outside. And we also thank you, Father, for allowing us to have this time to just commune together, have some time together and speak frankly and speak practically about the things that are going on in our lives. Father, we ask that you would just bless us as we continue doing your will. Bless us as we leave this place, allowing us to make it home safely, and hopefully we find everything in order. If it's not, Father, that you would put it in order for us. And Father, as we go our separate ways, we ask that you just bless us. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thanks for joining HOPLiveWorship. Peace.